Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time right here at the Adapt 2030 channel. As the fires rage, World Health Organization asks surveillance for those at risk for heat waves. Israel implements first climate lockdowns. A red map, green map doesn't tell the story. Europe's second lowest pear crop, 10 years, 35% fewer Dutch and Belgian cherries. Smallest strawberry crop since 1998. Mexican grape season, bye-bye. Indian rice exports shocking the planet. So we should get ready for more skimpflation and shrinkflation. Diets for everybody. And I thought I'd start you off with some nice, cool, refreshing glacial waters. Melting, flowing as they do every season when the northern hemisphere warms up into its summer cool down time. Indian rice export ban, we're hearing about it, triggering panic buying, not just in the US, but planet-wide. Rice is such a staple crop across the world. All exports of non-basmati rice ceased. And you might think, well, this resource nationalism has been sweeping our planet as crops get tight on the yields. Look no further than Ukraine. Wheat prices spike as Black Sea ports are shuttered. Now, officials in Ankara in Turkey absolutely state that there's no viable alternative to that grain corridor except over land. And what happens right on cue? Brussels thrashing out plan to move Ukrainian grain through the EU ports, because they were dumping so much, so heavily, that it was putting local periphery countries just in glut of grains and ruining market conditions for local farmers. So somehow they're going to need to get this grain from landlocked nation through a bunch of other landlocked nations out to a port somewhere. Good luck on that. But I do want to bring you to this map here I spoke about in my live radio program with Ransom Godwin last night, every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. Agriculture footprint, the feed and fuel, that's the purple. Feed for animal feed, ethanol for the fuels, and if the feed is reduced, i.e. Ukraine, what I see there, along with North America, parts of northern China that are struggling for production this year, the animals are going to need to decrease with that as well. Population is going to need to meet feed demand. What's most interesting is the food, just straight up grown for food. Look at that dark green, India. So, that's a predominant share of the world's just food production taken offline, with India with its national resources now keeping it in the country. So I guess the question needs to be asked, we're in this now next phase of resource nationalism. Everywhere you look, I don't care where you look across any newspaper, across the world, they're talking about inflation rearing its ugly head way through the end of the year here. It's going to get nasty, going to get expensive. And the food choices are becoming more limited. Now countries are responding, going, whoa, we need to keep that food in our place so we don't have riots on the streets. So what happens when, just in a future that we can envision, all countries cease their food exports to keep their own nations fed? At what point do we have a complete upheaval and disturbance wave across the planet? I don't have the answer on the exact dates or months. Maybe you do. Leave them in the comment box below. And talking about livestock, see that feed and fuel portion, if that decreases, the amount of animals needs to decrease. And then there's convenient excuses of reducing farm livestock to meet emissions targets. But is it really because areas 40 north or 45 north and 45 south down to the poles or up to the poles is going to go offline, thereby decreasing the amount of feed available for animals across the planet? But they can't really tell you that, so there needs to be a secondary excuse. One of the secrets to reducing the appearance of aging is to consider your collagen levels. When your collagen levels decline, as they naturally do with age, your skin begins to show visible signs of aging, like those fine lines and wrinkles. That's because collagen is essential for maintaining skin elasticity and hydration, and for bringing a youthful glow to the face. That's why I highly recommend including collagen into your daily regimen. Go to healthwithadapt2030.com or click on that link in the description box below. That's healthwithadapt2030.com. And now on with the video. Because the world's lush, and look at the production here. Vietnam, rice. Now there's a plentiful amount of areas for us to grow the foods we need, especially in the backyard. But that might disrupt the bottom line of the supermarkets. Irish fruit and veg shortage warning, drought affecting growers. This still continues, although it started in June. It's marching strong through July. Cabbage, cauliflower, carrots, parsnips, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts facing the biggest challenges. And now we're starting to see not just grains affected, but fruits and vegetables. Straight up everything a human can consume, as well as animals, is being affected. Production levels are dropping. Europe to have its second lowest pear crop in 10 years. France down 26%, although Belgium's up 6%. Portugal's up 7%. Spain, magically, it's going to be up by 53%, but with all the news headlines of that place on fire and like a baking blowtorch inferno, that doesn't mix and match well with fruit production. But what I did notice here, off of Pear, the varieties or the varietals of pears, check that out. The conference pears seem to be thriving in this very unstable environment that we have entered. The rest of the varietals show downward trends, so my guess would be that trees planted from this point forward are going to be the conference variety. At least that's where I'd place my best bet for production moving forward. Also, 35% fewer Dutch and Belgian cherries expected. So if you're a fan of cherries, prices are going to go up, or non-availability is coming to a neighborhood near you. Also, asparagus down as well, right along with this off of Eurostat here. Farmers expecting the smallest strawberry harvest since 1998. Germany being hit front and center with this, maybe because they don't have the resources to run their greenhouses like they used to electrical-wise, but that's a video for a different time and discussion as to why they don't have enough energy to run their greenhouses. Over to Mexico. My beard went from half gray to 100% gray in a few weeks as the Mexican grape season is the latest it's ever been seen. A lot of changes happening with our agriculture across the planet. Whoever controls the breadbaskets controls the future. And again, who controls the prices and control of that food into the distribution point controls the future too. Shrinkflation and skimpflation are eating our lunch and your pocketbook. So shrinkflation is just they put smaller amounts of goods in the same sized packaging. Reduce the full amount of what's in your package. So here's a list of them off of mouseprint.org. Sara Lee blueberry bagels used to be 1 pound 4 ounce, but then they cut that down to 1 pound 0.7 ounce. Double rolls reduced from 98 sheets on Bounty down to 90. Gain laundry detergent, 92 fluid ounces to 88 fluid ounces. Now see, something like that, they would have to change the packaging too. It's kind of hard to disguise that. Dawn dish soap, 19.4 fluid ounces down to 18. But you see a lot of these things in the packaging, especially with chocolates and potato chips. Same size package, more inert gas, less product, same price or even higher prices. You're going to have to get used to that because as things move forward, the food availability or the quality of the foods is going to decrease as well. And again, it's all about who controls the food supply. Now, prior in the last 100 years, it was all about who controlled the oil and the money supply. That still counts too. But the future we're marching into in these next, say, 12 months or under is going to be really who controls the food, the distribution points, the transit routes to be able to get foods grown in a region to processing and market in another region will absolutely dominate the planet. So at that point, it's pretty much charge what you want because people have to eat every day. And so this is how, through the past, if you go through these 400-year cycles, you'll find a collapse period and then a reemergence, collapse period and reemergence. Well, it was always about the collapse period was preceded by food shortages and famines. That's why people left. They went for different areas economically, and governments had to restructure the way they oversaw the citizens or ruled them on farm earth here. Same thing's happening again. But the excuse can't be that it's a natural cycle, see, because there won't be enough food, because they get given us plenty of time to get our backyard gardens up and running and getting with communities and start forming trading markets and bartering systems for foods grown through neighborhood areas. But, you know, you still haven't heard word one about that, even though we're going into food shortages across the planet. They're still not talking about how to grow your own food. It should be page 1. Hey, here's your new gardening tip for the day on page 1. That's where this should be, but it's not. Some extremes coming out of Russia. This is one of my favorites here. They caught this water spout. I know it was from last week, but the water spout's so amazing. Just the angle of the sun, and this is one of the best water spout pictures I've ever seen. I'm a fan of water spouts, but this one was spectacular and stunning just because of the thinness of the column, but the way that the light refracted through there to really give you that just most mesmerizing image. Now over to the fires. It seems everywhere is on fire today. Well, the maps are reflecting that too. And if we look at the above map here, in 2017, we see temperatures of 26, 30, 33 degrees still in greens. But you jump to 2022 here, and suddenly 24 degrees is in red, 28 degrees is like the brick red, burning hot. You know, it's all about color psychology. I encourage you to look into color psychology. It's a very well-established science, and that's how most of your products are sold, using color psychology. Well, it's the same thing with convincing you that we're in the hottest year ever. Redundantly showing you these maps of red and maps of oranges and maps of yellows compared to greens. But then when you see on the news broadcast, oh, it's going to be more than 42 degrees today. This is in France. And then they have an actual thermometer off of a store there showing 32 degrees Celsius. There's a disconnect. That's 10 degrees Celsius difference. That's, you know, an enormous amount of temperature difference. Now we have the World Health Organization urging governments to set up surveillance for people at risk from heat waves. Now wait until the winter. They're just going to copy paste and, you know, cold waves, cold snaps, whatever. Just replace the wordage. Severe symptoms of heat waves. So this would be anybody that has cardiovascular, respiratory diseases, diabetes, pregnant women, children, homeless people, all vulnerable. They all need to be tracked. In scorching parts of Europe and the United States, got to track everybody. Make sure they're okay from the heat. Because check this out. They closed parks in Israel due to the heat. You have to stay home. You couldn't hike. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Israel implements first climate lockdown measure. Hiking is prohibited for a few days. Trails were closed due to heat. Quote unquote extreme weather condition lockdown. At what point does this become, oh, the breeze is coming up to 12 miles an hour, you have to stay home? I'm not sure, but it very well could be, because the drones might not be able to fly in a 20-mile-per-hour wind. New York City police plan to utilize unmanned aerial vehicle, otherwise known as drones, to broadcast weather alerts / remote piloted public messaging capabilities. They're going to have to come up with an easier way to say that, because even newscasters will be tongue-tied. So what they want to do is audio drone messages about heat waves. You got to stay inside, it's too hot. Something like this. Urging you to remain indoors and seek shelter from the heat. And by the way, this was just a single snippet off flight radar. Look how many flights are going back and forth, and I wonder how many people on those flights are belly aching and yapping about the current climate, but they're hopping on airplanes zooming around the planet. This is just a single snapshot of a single minute of a single day's air traffic. Just the day before yesterday, what's that, July 26th, 2023. And you know, they want us to go to a vegan diet and that sort of thing, stop eating meat, but look what I got. I got rare footage of a vegan airplane refueling. This is amazing footage. See, they want the whole world to go meatless. We'll start with the planes first. But perhaps you want to start with gardening and getting some storable foods ready for these changes. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030. That link's in the description box below. Any purchase you make help keeps the channel on air, bringing you more information just like this. Hope you got something out of the video. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.